Hey folks, you're watching the Archetype of Man channel. I'm Nick, and today I kind of have a twofer video for you. So if you followed the channel for a while, you know that I started out tolerating revolvers. If you followed me over the past year or so, I've really gotten into revolvers. Some of that's lifestyle, doing landscaping. I could carry a Ruger LCR concealed easier than I could carry a semi-auto, this, that, and the other. It was a little bit more impervious to the elements. So that's what I carry most of the time, but that led me to get stuff out and shoot things that I hadn't been shooting seriously, like a Ruger GP-100 7-shot 357 Magnum that I've had for probably 6 or 7 years now. I can't remember exactly. So, and by shooting seriously, I mean I shot it, you know, target practice and things like that, but I didn't shoot it quickly or under time pressure from a holster, any kind of defensive use. And then the more I shot revolvers, the more I started to like them. So today is a cool day in that we are crossing over the 5,000 round mark for this GP-100. The gun is stock. I haven't changed anything. If you own Ruger revolvers, you know that the more you shoot them, the better the trigger gets. So it's kind of got a trigger job the old-fashioned way by shooting the damn gun. The grips that are on here, the ones that came on here, they got the wood inserts. They're banged up. You know, I carry this gun when I hunt for wild hogs, things like that. 4.2 inch barrel, 7-shot. So that, a lot of people say, well, why that over a 6? I don't know. I wanted to be different. I'm a millennial. We're all special snowflakes. So that's what I wanted. I wanted the 7-shot. It's cool, but at the same time, virtually every other revolver I own is a 6-shot, with the exception of a Model 36 that is obviously a 5. So this uses its own Speedloaders, and the case rim thickness, any kind of variation there can lead to issues not getting them a seat. You kind of got to push them. And then as I've gotten more into shooting revolvers and working on reloads, that can be an issue going for a quick reload, because you drop your speed loader in and they don't all want to go where they're supposed to go. So if I had it to do over again, I'd probably get a 6-shot. I'm not going to get rid of this one just because me and this gun have some good memories at this point. It's gone through the woods. It's awesome. So it is a 42-ounce hunk of steel. It's a Ruger. You know, if you're into revolvers, Ruger's got a certain reputation. I like them all. I'm not really a cultist with Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Colt. I only have one Colt, but I've got a few Smiths and a few Rugers. I like them all. I think they're great guns. So that's part of it. We're at 5,000 rounds through this, and we are also going to be talking about the 1791 Gunleather. Has sent me some stuff to work with, because I have the harebrained notion that I'm going to shoot competition with a revolver. I have no illusions that I'm going to magically take first place, or that I'm going to shoot like Caleb Giddings, although this whole situation is partly his fault for getting me into these. Definitely not anywhere near Mitchellek, anything like that, but competition does help you get better. So I figure, why not put myself under the pressure with the revolver, and I might learn some stuff if other people are shooting competition revolver here at Pickens County Sportsman's Club for their IDPA matches. And then I hopefully will travel around and do some more, and we'll see if I can get better. But 1791 sent me this setup. So this is a thumb brake. It's actually very comfortable. I'm still breaking it in, but it is comfortable. And this nifty speed loader pouch. So to kind of tell on myself a little bit, I started off with the speed loader pouch on my left side. That didn't work out so well for my times on reloads. So I've got the camera pointed down now so you can see a little bit more. Not trying to show off this, still working on it. But yeah, it's a thumb brake, and it does work with my Colt Python as well, although it fits the GP-100 best. I believe it also works for the L and K frame Smiths. I may have to correct that while I'm editing, but I'll look it up. Thumb brake holster, and it's comfy. I mean, this is a heavy gun. This isn't, you know you're carrying a gun, and I don't think any holster is really going to make that not be the case. Speed loader pouches are cool. So it says they're for 5 or 6-shot speed loaders, but if you count those, there's 7 blue bullets in there. These are the 160 grain. I like these. 38 special, which if you don't know, you can safely shoot 38 special out of a 357 Magnum. Does not work the other way around, but shooting .38 out of a 357, especially a gun like this, is laughable. We're going to do some shooting here, and you'll see it doesn't recoil very much. And then we will, of course, shoot some 357s because we kind of have to. But yeah, it's a very comfortable holster. Shout out to 1791. There's going to be links in the description. Those links in the description are affiliate links, so if you use them, they do help the channel out. Now, I wouldn't tell you guys that I like these holsters unless I really did. The funny thing is, when they reached out to me to send me some stuff to review, I had already been using a 1791 Gunleather holster during all my hunting escapades and things like that, or you know, hiking, anything where I wanted a 357 Magnum. Here in North Georgia, 357 Magnum with a hard cast bullet is going to handle virtually everything that I'm going to run into. I don't really worry about bears as much, but things like wild hogs, stuff like that. And you know, they do have a pretty good reputation, obviously, with the 125 grain, damn yellow jacket, 125 grain jacketed hollow point 357 mag has a pretty good reputation. I doubt the hard cast is going to vary from that too much, but anyway, it's a good catch all around. So I've been using 1791 holsters for a while. So I like this one. I'm tired of talking. I'm getting antsy. I'm ready to shoot. So we're going to set up at 15 yards on a B8. And we're just going to see how this thing groups. I'll shoot a 5-round group and see if I do my part, how that goes. And then we'll do some stuff on the timer. All right, so we are set up 15 yards, fresh B8. We are going to fire, well, we got, I say 5 shots. We got 7 in the gun. Yeah, may as well do 7 and see how that looks. Double action revolvers. Can you cock the hammer? Yes. Should you? I say no. That's partly because the people I listen to say no, and partly because if I need this gun in a hurry, doing that's an extra step. So I'm trying to, and have been trying to improve my double action skills. So don't come for me too hard, but we're gonna shoot and see how this thing groups. All right, so nifty Speedloader pouch, and that's why I moved it to the right side. Hopefully you guys can see that in the camera. Eject, come over here, and then use the hand with the fine muscle control, the better fine muscle control, and then there we go. Normally I'd throw that on the ground, but I already got to bend over enough to pick up brass. So let's take a look and see how it grouped. So standard target here. Let's see, 15 yards, freehand, double action, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there you go for scale. There's a fist that's large-ish. You know, a lot of people shoot a lot better than me, but yeah, factory revolver, 160 grain, 38 special. And I'm not overly caffeinated, but I'm definitely caffeinated. So let's bookmark those holes. I forgot my pasties today to put on there, but there we go. Now this is not going to be a video where I tell you that you should give up your semi-auto and carry one of these. I like these. I think they're tons of fun. I think they do still have a purpose and are still relevant in 2024 and have been. I don't think they ever stopped being relevant. But I'm not going to tell you that you need to give up your P365 or Glock or whatever to carry one of these. If you come to that conclusion, I will tell you that there is nothing wrong with that, that this particular example might be a bit much for carry because unfortunately, unless you're in a way different physical category than I am, you're probably not going to be able to carry it anything other than like this or shoulder holster, cross draw, maybe an IWB, but again, I don't see this particular setup being a great carry gun through, you know, short sleeve weather. But a revolver is definitely still relevant. I think there's still a place for them for the outdoors. You know, most folks, if you're a hobbyist like me, you know, you've taken this and you've got your essentials covered, and then you just get into shooting other stuff because, you know, most folks are not like you and I. If you're a hobbyist, most folks are going to buy 1 or 2 pistols. They might have a carry gun, you know, for social stuff with 2-legged predators, or they might have something like this for backpacking, fishing, or whatnot. And if you live in brown bear country, I would step up from a 357. That's just my opinion. I've got a couple 44s if I'm going to be going that route. But I digress. The revolver is absolutely still relevant for not just the woods and animals, but I'm trying to remember how he said it, but Caleb Giddings said there's a U-shaped utility curve. Again, this goes to Caleb. I didn't come up with this. You know, a revolver starts out being very useful if your knowledge is here, you know, and it's going up. Revolver is very useful, and then somewhere in the middle it gets not so useful, and then it goes up again as your knowledge and dedication to learning it goes up. So if I were to hand this gun to somebody that's not even a gun person, they just want something around, the steps to make sure that it's unloaded while keeping it pointed in a safe direction are very simple. Most revolvers are very simple. Push, swing. Oh wow, it's loaded. You can dump those out. Oh wow, it's unloaded. And there you go. There's no, you leave this thing loaded. There's no springs compressing, although that's the myth about magazine springs, leaving them loaded being bad for them. That's not bad for them. Leaving them unloaded, not bad for them. It's the cycling. It's the actually using the magazine that is going to wear them out. So find a couple mags, vet them, make sure they run your defensive ammo, load them, and those are your defensive mags. Get some other mags, make sure those run good, and use those as your practice mags that are constantly cycling the spring for semi-autos. That would be my recommendation. But a revolver, you know, very useful for non-gun people. You can check very easily, see if it's unloaded. The mechanism of making this thing work is no more complicated than pointing and squeezing the trigger. That's it. Now that does take practice, but you were practicing pointing and squeezing the trigger. 2 for 1. You went through the target and hit the steel on the other side down there. It doesn't get much more simple than that for the operation of a firearm. There are some misconceptions that revolvers never malfunction or they never jam, and they don't jam in the sense that a semi-auto does. And forgive me if you guys have heard all this stuff. I'm just covering all the bases here. They can absolutely malfunction, and typically when a revolver malfunctions, it will go down harder than a semi-automatic. Semi-auto, you know, tap, rack, bang is kind of the widely accepted remedy for that. Occasionally you run into things that are a bit more difficult. A revolver, well-maintained revolver, does not malfunction all that often, but when they do, there's typically things going on behind the side plate of the gun that could be a problem, or even with the ejector. You know, if I go to eject these empties and one of them gets stuck under the extractor, that can be a pain in the ass to fix, and in a time-sensitive situation, that's not ideal. So I think the idea of reloading a revolver in a self-defense situation is optimistic. And I say that as somebody that carries, I have my speed loader or a speed strip for my LCR in my pocket. I think the idea of getting a reload in is optimistic, but makes me feel better, so I carry it. There we go. But at any rate, the revolver does need practice. I mean, you should absolutely practice with it. It's not something that's easier to shoot. In a lot of ways, it was harder for me to learn revolvers because I grew up primarily shooting semi-autos. And most of the revolver shooting I did, I can't stop shooting this thing today. Most of the revolver shooting I did, I cocked the hammer like a strunts and shot it like that. I didn't know any better. Again, though, that's 2 steps. See, that's more complicated. This is very simple. And you'll get a feel for the trigger, and you'll learn how to, you know, kind of gauge what's going on. I got 3 rounds left. I'm going to shoot them because I should. Oh no, we're out. So now we can cover reloading. So because I've been working on reloads, I'm going to show you how I initially tried to do it, which didn't work out well. Bang, we're out. I would swing open the cylinder like so. I would hit the ejector rod and then come down here and fish out my speed loader and try to line it up. And I'm kind of bracing the cylinder. This is how I was doing it, reaching through, trying to load it like that. Well, that didn't work very well. So I slowed down. I started watching the people that do shoot revolvers well. Again, I'm going to shout out Caleb Giddings and Jerry Michalek. And then I figured out something here. If you shoot and you're empty and you come back, swing this open, whack this, come over and cradle it, these 2 fingers through here, And then come to your Speedloader pouch. This is stationary. This hand, I'm right-handed. This works a little bit better. I get those in there where I want them to go. Twist the Speedloader, let that go in, and as I push the cylinder in, and this may not be gospel, but this is what works for me. As I push the cylinder in, I roll with my thumb. So we'll see, I'll get you a little closer. It's here, I roll in with, push it in and roll just to make sure that it engages on one of those. We'll mismatch it there. So push in and roll, and then I come right back to my firing grip, and that tends to work better. So in and there. Now Caleb does this thing where he does a thumbs forward grip like you would, you know, shooting a semi-auto. It doesn't work for me. I don't get nearly as much control of the gun, so I end up coming down here somewhere and bracing off the gun like that. So I'm gonna risk the camera here. But like this is how I come up, and that tends to work good. I've got plenty of clearance for the hammer to come back, so that's kind of where I've been going. And I do get a little bit of carbon, nothing crazy there on the thumb. I get a little bit of carbon on there. I don't shoot a whole lot of 357, but I did want to try that out to see if I'd blow my fingers off like the internet told me I would, and I didn't encounter that. So again, the biggest revolver caliber that I shoot personally is 44 Magnum, and I shoot that out of a Smith & Wesson 629-1, or I shoot it out of a Ruger Super Red Hawk Alaskan. Two very different guns. I should probably do a video on those at some point. So I say all that to say, revolvers are fun. So I absolutely love that the weather is turning around here in Georgia. The downside is my camera is black. I use a Sony ZV-1. I love this camera, but it tends to overheat, and I saw the little icon, so we're back under shelter here. Now I got my glasses off, so I automatically lose 10 tactical points. But I want to show you a close-up on the revolver. Bear in mind, it is dirty. I've shot about 400 rounds today, and that's what pushed us over the 5,000 round mark for the gun. So I didn't intend to do a 5,000 round review or update on the GP-100 when I came out today. I just noticed as I was trying to keep track of my notes in my phone, I was like, holy cow, we're at 5K rounds. May as well, since we're out at the range and I hadn't been filming here lately, may as well come out here and do an update on the gun. So let's show you a close-up, and then I want to show you a close-up of these 1791 accessories for this. I really am impressed with the quality of this leather work. This is not your Tagua or Tagua, however you want to say it. This is not something that's floppy and flimsy. I typically have been a strong proponent of Kydex. This is one of those leather holsters that I say, yeah, this is a good holster. It's sturdily made. The other one, which I don't have out here with me, so I'll have to do a short. Stay tuned for that. I will show you what one looks like after a couple of years of rain, sleet, snow, cold, hot hunting in Georgia, because even bow hunting, I was carrying it early on in the season, so it got sweaty and whatnot. But I'll look for that, and I'll show you what one looks like after a couple of years, and it doesn't get the floppy leather holster sag and potential safety issue that a lot of lesser holsters do. And 1791 does all this while keeping the price. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's not crazy expensive either. It's a very accessible price for the product that you get. The first thought I had back when I ordered the one that I've been using for my revolvers was, holy cow, I only paid how much for this? My hopes were high because I had paid, I think, $70-something for it at the time. I wanted it to be a good holster, but I did not expect it to be that good of a holster. It matched my Milt Spark setup that I have for the 36-2, and I was very impressed with it. So anyway, I'm going to take this stuff off. It is, you know, it's got loops, so it's not a quick on and off, but that's okay. I prefer that when I'm carrying a gun like this. I'm probably not easy on, easy off anyway. I'm probably want it securely on the belt, and I do use a core belt, which does help. I'm about ready for a new one. I think I'm at like 3 or 4 years now. It's just starting to fray, still works fine. But yeah, let's take a look at this. I love that I'm carrying a GP-100 in leather with Speedloader pouches on a black multicam Core Essentials belt. So I am the conflicted millennial. But let's take a look. All right, so here we are. I did unload this, but this is the GP-100. You can see there some 1791 branding on this piece, which I absolutely love, and we'll talk about that here in a second. So you'll notice, again, the gun's unloaded, it's going to be pointed at you, don't freak out. You'll notice it's got this curve, right? It came that way. Now, I'm sure as I've worn it and done some stuff, it's broken in a little bit, but it absolutely came that way to some degree, and it was a very natural thing. So here, because of the way it's formed, if you look at the leather there, you can see the thickness of it. There's a couple layers, and it is heavy stitched. I mean, you can see the stitching on it. This is not something that was shoddily assembled. So the elephant in the room here, if you look near the trigger guard, you'll see that there is, oh, you can stick my finger in here behind the trigger. Can't get to the trigger. No, with my pinky, God, that hit the cuticle. Got a hangnail. That didn't feel real good. Let's try this one. So I can get in there, right? But even if I could squeeze the trigger, thumb brake, hammer's not going anywhere. Speaking of thumb brakes, some people love them, some people hate them. Again, if I take a spill while I'm out hunting, I like them. And I'm getting to the point where I was shooting pretty quick. There's going to be some reels, or shorts and reels if you're on Facebook and Instagram, coming out where I was working under time pressure and having to defeat the thumb brake. So the thumb brake is well done as well. So it sits like that, come over and just basically push, and well, it's easier when it's on, but brake, and the gun comes out. So like I said, it's still breaking in, but very cool there. We'll look at the gun in a second. So yeah, you got a very nice here on this part of the thumb brake. This is nice and rigid. I mean, you can see, and I anticipate my other 1791 was not a thumb brake. So I'll let you guys know if something changes, but this is nice. This gets out of the way pretty easy, and then the gun comes free. So to show you the inside of the holster, you can see it's leather, and I like it quite a bit. So break in for this, I basically put the gun in it. It was pretty tight when it came, and I let it sit for a few days, and then I did a little bit, you know, watching YouTube videos with an unloaded gun in and out of the holster. That's typically how I break in leather. If you have a better way, drop it in the comments, please. I'm open to learn. I'm not saying my way is the best way or even the right way. That's just what I've been doing for, wow, 13 years. So I didn't realize I'd been carrying, you know, a personal sidearm that long. So 1791, just in case you forget what you're wearing, belt goes through here. And I like it. It's not floppy. So the core belt is a 1.5 inch belt, which if you're not familiar with core essential belts, they are rigid. They're marketed as a concealed carry gun belt thing. And they actually do make a battle belt, if you will. Mine is just the regular core belt. And it works fine. So it holds it securely. These little snaps, they're easy to peel open. And then you can see, again, with the stitching, what I was saying, they don't skimp on it. That's some heavy duty stitching there. And I like these because there's gap. You can kind of see you through there. And you can pick them up at a glance and realize, oh no, I left my 160 grain blue bullets in it. Or you can say, I left my 180 grain HTP, high terminal performance Remington 180 grain social rounds, if you will. Or this is what I carry sometimes, 158 grain jacketed soft points, which are nice. They do fun stuff to water and whatnot. I should probably get some more of those at some point. But anyway, yeah, Speedloader pouch is cool. It's a very supple leather, which I actually like. I'm going to drop more information down in the description as well as a link to each of these and let you check them out. I'm really enjoying them so far. If anything changes, guys, I don't know how long you've been following me for a while. I may have used Olight weapons lights, and I thought they were great. It's been a few years, and I promoted them. And then I had some experiences that led me to stop doing that. And I was like, man, you know, I knew people had ordered them because I had gotten commissions from my links promoting these lights. And I was like, well, crap, you know. So I made a whole mea culpa video on that and had to apologize for promoting those lights. I no longer use their weapons lights. I do use some of their handhelds around the house. But like right now, I'm running a Streamlight Wedge. Well, running it. I'm super tactical. I am carrying a Streamlight Wedge because Android Type-C charging, fantastic. So I say all that to say, if I have an issue with these holsters, I will let you know. I don't anticipate one though from my experience with their other stuff. Now for the GP-100. So yeah, you do have a warning here. Read instruction manual, Ruger, Newport, New Hampshire. Some people get really upset about that. It doesn't bother me. It is what it is. It's dirty. Again, like I said, 400 rounds today. Yeah, there's my serial number. Whoop. 357 Magnum, 7-shot, GP-100. So, like I said, I've modified nothing on this gun. You do have a fiber optic front ramp sight, or you do have a fiber optic front sight, which is, it works. It glows a little brighter in the sunshine than it will in here, but it works good enough. You have a white outline on the rear blade there, and then again, it's unloaded, but there's 7 holes. At first, as I started diving into 357s, I was a little worried about the cylinder walls being so thin, but I have had no issues. And like I said, I've shot 180 grain hard cast buffalo bore out of it. It's not fun, but obviously the gun's working fine. You can see the drag line. It's kind of like dust covers on an AR-15. You can see who uses their gun. And that's the drag line after over 5,000 rounds of live fire and not nearly as much dry fire as I should do, but some. It is a transfer bar, so the hammer here does not have a firing pin on it, but if you watch that gap, when we pull the trigger, there's the firing pin protruding, and then when you let off the trigger, there it goes. So safe to carry, loaded underneath it. Can't do anything unless everything's, you know, all done with the trigger. So safe, I love it. Push button cylinder release. For those that aren't familiar with Rugers, you just come up, you push this, and then push the cylinder, and there's your ejector. Everything seems to still be working good. I may take the grips and the side plate off here soon and just check everything out, or have my buddy Brandon Moss down at Moss Firearms, gunsmith, take a peek, and he's way more experienced than I am. Just make sure everything's going good, just kind of a preventive check. But yeah, she's pretty. She shoots well. She's a hoss, and I love this thing. It is definitely 42 ounces of serious firearm. Yeah, it's pretty. So, should you buy a GP-100? I don't see why not. They've got a great reputation. This one has been very solid for me. I like it. The 7-shot versus 6-shot, personal preference. If I had it to do over again, I'd likely just get the 6-shot, just because some of the cases, particularly with 38 Special, which, let's face it, most of us are predominantly going to be shooting 38 out of our 357s. It's economical, even reloading. The brass is cheaper all the way around. Most of us are going to be shooting 38s. The case rim variation problem was a problem for a long time. When I first got the gun and I didn't realize what was going on, I would go to close the cylinder and they'd be sticking up just enough to cause some binding going in. And sometimes, you know, it would go in and you would feel it as you went to shoot it, you know, and the cylinder would turn, and it was fine. Oh, that reminds me, as far as lockup goes, she's good. Even after 5,000 rounds, there's a slight wiggle back and forth. The lockup's still great on it. But at any rate, the case rim variation issue kind of turned me off for a while, and it wasn't cheap ammo. It was happening with federal cases, and then now predominantly shooting my own reloads, at least with 38 Special. I don't use them for serious stuff, but like I have, Starline brass has actually been one of the better ones. Taurus brass has actually been one of the better ones. And then going through here, Winchester surprisingly did pretty good. It was mainly with federal is where I was having the issue. I think I had the issue with some arms core too. But at any rate, that is a potential thing to watch out for. As far as the merits of a 357 Magnum, you know, it's a very versatile round. I love them. I love that you can take something like this, which is very powerful. This is the 158 grain jacketed soft point. This would be a bit much for a new shooter. And then you can throw in, you know, even these, which are loaded towards the upper end of 38 Special ballistics, or these are loaded towards the upper end of 38 Special load data in the manual. It's a 160 grain bullet, but out of that gun, it's really not that bad. But you can go down even more. I know I got wad cutters out here somewhere. and load wad cutters or buy wad cutters or whatnot. And it makes it a good gun for new shooters or young shooters or whatnot, people that are recoil sensitive. 357 Magnum and guns chambered in it are, in my opinion, one of the best things going in the firearms world. And I realize how much of a boomer FUD opinion or take that is. That's just my thoughts. I've shot with people that had bad experiences shooting. You hand them something like a GP-100 with some light loaded 38 special. You don't have to worry about it jamming because of limp wristing or things like that, or cycling the gun. And you can tailor the load to infinite possibilities for whatever you're trying to do. So down here in the Southeast, I think that a 357 Magnum is probably one of the best do-all calibers, with the exception of maybe small game hunting. You can do a lot with 38 special and 357 Magnum. So if it were me, I would most likely just buy the 357 for the added weight. It's going to make it a little bit more controllable, even if all I was doing was shooting 357. As far as the barrel length, 4.2 inches. So yes, you do lose some velocity over a 6-inch gun. You don't lose nearly as much as you would with a 3 or 2-inch gun. So that is what it is. There's something coming off this table where I keep setting this. But anyway, you know, this is kind of the happy medium. I like this barrel length. It's long enough that I do get some pretty impressive ballistics on some of the stuff that I load in terms of velocity, but not so long that it's unwieldy. This is still pretty easy to handle. And if it came down to using it for self-defense, I would not feel outgunned, at least in terms of firepower. It's got a good reputation. And obviously, you know, if that's what you shoot well, carrying that you can make reliable, accurate hits with is a lot better than carrying whatever semi-auto people want to fawn over. We can go with the Beretta or whatnot. So carry what you shoot well, but if you're interested in a GP-100, I see no reason to tell you to not get one. 7-shot, 6-shot, go where your heart leads you. That's my thoughts on it. But anyways, drop your thoughts on the GP-100 if you have experience with it, or Ruger revolvers in general, or if you would recommend a different model of similar classed revolver to somebody, and why. Drop those down in the comments. Let's discuss. As always, there are links down in the description for Patreon, channel membership, and Cash App. People wanted to do a one-time thing, so I have a Cash App. It's down there for the channel if you want to do that. You're never something that you have to do. But a huge thank you to the people that have financially supported the channel. Helps pay for things like memory cards, batteries, chargers, power banks, primers, powder, things like that, to come out and make videos and shoot. So I appreciate you guys. Stay safe, and I'll catch you at the next video.